Hello everyone, welcome to another Photoshop tutorial with Temperate Sage. We were out in the woods doing a film shoot for Hapstance Films. I've got some really hilarious pictures from that. But also while we were out there, I decided to do a quick photo shoot with myself as well. But during our shoot, it poured and poured and poured. So by the time I was able to shoot, I was soaking wet and just had to kind of go with it. So here's an image of me laying in one of the grassy fields. I've got some water droplets on me. That's kind of fun. One thing I'm definitely going to be doing with this image today is a little bit of face retouch, just because I got a lot of sun this year, a lot more than usual, and my face tone is a little bit off from the rest of my body's tone. So I'm going to tone that down just a tad because I want to keep the details. But first, we're going to go ahead and go into the raw and do some adjustments to the raw image before we go ahead and do edits in Photoshop. So here we are in the raw camera settings. If you have raw images, this is where your image will start. And for my image today, this image starts out, it's got some nice qualities, but I want to go ahead and actually kind of down the contrast a little bit in this image because I want something a little bit lighter feeling. So with my temperatures, I'm going to go ahead and lower the yellows just a tad. About there is good. And with the tint, I'm going to bring that down. Exposure, I'm going to up it quite a bit. But we're also going to be, and I know that looks really overexposed right now, we're also going to be downing the contrast quite a bit. That's going to bring it back in. This is starting to make the image feel a lot lighter. About there. Highlights, I'm going to add a little bit now. And with my shadows, going to decrease them. And with my whites, I am going to decrease those. Less black by increasing the lightness in them. So now I'm here. And with my clarity, I'm just going to leave that alone and add just a tiny bit of vibrance. So there we go. This is where our image is going to start for editing outside of Camera Raw. So that's some of the ways you can use Camera Raw. It's the best setting. If you start with raw images, it's the best place to go to get your image started for more editing afterwards. Also, if you have images that start as JPEGs, you can actually go up to the filter section right here, and there's a Camera Raw filter that does a lot of these same things to your image. But if you can, I highly recommend starting with raw. So let's go ahead and open this. Let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is zoom in because I want to get a good close-up view of my face. So you can use Control+ to zoom in. Move it over, take a look at my face. As you can see right here, a lot more suntan than the rest of my body. That's just kind of a part of being a Northwestern girl. First thing I'm going to do is do a little bit of brushing out of that color. To do that, I'm going to go up to the droplet tool here. And I'm going to select a color that's a little closer to what I want. Something maybe quite right along the edge of this cheek color here. Just kind of a mixture in between. So now that I've got my color selected using the droplet tool right here and right here, I'm going to go ahead and click on the brush tool right here. Go up to opacity and I'm going to turn it down to about 23. Let's go with that. I'm going to use the bracket tools to increase the size of my brush. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of brushing to try and even out the tones along here to match this and the rest of my body a little better. I'm actually not going to even bother trying to avoid these branches because I think they're going to look so different from each other that it won't really matter in the end. Go down here. I might do a little bit of a history brush retouch of that area. You can go ahead and use layers if you like. That's another way to easily fix problems that have happened. So for me, since I'm using the history brush to do my back edits, I go ahead and select this right before my brush tooling. I'm going to go up here to the history brush, click that, use the bracket tools to decrease its size a little bit. Also down its opacity because it's easier to make changes subtle if you down the opacity and do several strokes. Then I'm going to go ahead and just brush along this edge to just get rid of, let's see, that was a little too intense. Let's try it like that. Just a little bit right there. Make it even smaller. And go ahead into here on the lips and also get rid of that right there. Make sure that this area is not being hit too hard. There we go. So when we started this image so far, we started out here. Now we've greatly reduced the amount, and I'm actually going to go back in because I think this is just a little bit too much with the 23% brush over. So we're back here to our paste again. I'm going to lower my opacity on the history brush even more, make it like 19. Get this brush size a lot bigger. Make sure that my lowest area is selected, and then I'm going to go and just brush through once. That way we've reduced the color on the face quite a bit still. From there to here. I mean, heck, we could even do it one more time. But we still have a much lighter and much more matching color tone now. So now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more refined retouch. And for that, I'm going to be using my spot healing tool here. And I'm going to zoom in a little more. Get really close. I'm going to focus on getting rid of this line right here. So we're doing a bit of a glamour retouch. I'm going to go ahead and just touch a couple areas up. Just touch that area up a tad. Probably go over that later too. Now I'm going to increase it in size. Just try and pull some of this dark eye in. It's probably good enough for now. And while we're in here and close up, I'm going to go ahead and go across the body and just kind of pick up a few of these little bits of dirt and grass on my skin. Just try and keep the nature around me but not on me. Oh, that did not work. So let's zoom out a little. See how that's looking so far? It's looking pretty good. Looks like I got most of the dirt scrap areas. So let's move back in to the face. And one last line I'm going to get rid of is a little bit of this stuff right here. Otherwise, we're keeping our skin texture pretty decently. So one last thing I'm going to do though is go in and really make a quick fix on this eye coloration. So to do that, we're going to go back up to our dropper tool again. Pick something, how about that tone right there? That's fine. And use our brush tool again and make it a lot smaller, focus in on the eye area. Just kind of make that a little more subtle. Use the spot healing tool again. Just going to remove that little area. And that's looking good. We're looking pretty good down there. So now I'm going to use my dropper tool, which I have selected right now. Go into the eyes. Get a little closer. I'm going to drop on this side, grab some of that lighter color. But we'll drag this down to 11%. Make our tool a little smaller. And go in here and just kind of clean up some of this eye color. One thing I suffer during a lot of my photo shoots is I have a little bit of allergies with makeup. And a lot of girls do. So it's not uncommon for a little bit of red eye to appear during photo shoots. So I'm going back to my dropper tool for this eye and getting some of that darker color on this side. Doing the same thing again. Makeup's a lot of fun. It can accentuate a lot of parts of your face. It can help, you know, accentuate your eye colors and stuff like that, but it can be a little bit irritating on the eyes. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit and take a look at that. That looks a lot better. So with that, we went from that to that. Just getting rid of some of that excessive red. So now that we've got it at this phase, let's do a little bit of highlighting. So go over here to your toolbar. You're going to want to click on your dodge tool. So now that I have my dodge tool selected and we're working on the eyes, I'm going to zoom in on those again and just do some quick eye highlights. So lower the size of my brush to about there. And first I'm going to do mid-tones, which I've already got selected. And do a couple of swipes per eye. You want to make sure that you keep the color relatively similar between your A's, so nothing seems off. Now I'm going to go to my highlights and I'm going to make the brush size even smaller. And just do a little rounding in the highlights in the eye. That gives it some really nice brown, rich color. It is a bit excessive, but why not? So this one eye seems a little bit bright, so I'm going to go ahead and take a history brush, go back to about here, grab my history brush, and just do a quick fade on that. That's much better. So there we are with the eye highlights. And back to our dodge tool here. Let's go ahead and go back to our mid-tones and do a little bit of highlighting around the face. So let's make our brush a lot bigger. And I'm just going to do a quick sweep up here. My forehead, my cheeks. And then I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Just do a quick highlight under my eyes. That one's a little bright. So now when we zoom out, and take a look from our start to finish, we go from here to there. So here comes the fun part. We're going to go ahead and do some burning around the eyes to kind of intensify the eye lines and the eyebrows, and also do a little bit of touch up on the lips as well. So zoom back in. Let's go ahead and switch over for the time being to our burn tool in our toolbar. Go ahead and select midtones. And just do a little bit of edge burning here. A little bit down here along this edge. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side. And I'm going to go ahead and make this brush slightly bigger and just do a sweep over the eyebrows. Now let's go ahead and get our burn tool, but go up here and switch to shadows. So now we're in shadows. We're going to do the same thing again. Over this area of the eye. Really get a nice burn on those eyes. And also I'm going to just add a little bit of darkening into the actual pupils. There we go. So let's go ahead and do the same thing with the midtones down here on the lips. Switch back to midtones up here. There's a brush, inner and outer edges. And then let's go back here, switch over to our dodge tool again, switch to keep it on midtones, and do a sweep down the center of the lips right here. Then go back in with highlights and do one really quick sweep. Let's do that. And one more sweep with highlights over the eyes, particularly the highlight region. And now let's zoom out and take a look. So when we started our image, it looked like this. And now all of our facial retouch work and a little bit of cleanup around the body makes the image look like this. That looks a lot more striking to me. The skin tones look a lot more even, which is good. And so I think we're pretty much done with the facial retouch. So there's just a tiny bit of body retouch I want to get done in this image, and after that I will go ahead and start with the color. So one thing in this image that I want to retouch is the shoulder region right here. I can see just a little bit of patchiness in this region. I can see a little scratch right there. So I'll go ahead and clean up that scratch with my brush tool. Why is that happening? There we go. And go ahead in and just kind of pull some of these wrinkles out. Oh. There we go. And so now that I've gotten rid of a little bit of that, I'm going to go ahead and with this area use the method we used on the face earlier. Go up and use the dropper tool. Grab some color, maybe that one right there. Something closer into the region. Grab our brush tool. Make our brush a little bigger with the bracket tools. Or bracket keys. And maybe intensify it to about 30. Go in here and just brush out, oop, a little bit too much there. A little bit of that detail right there. And go down here. Oh, a little bit too much. And I'm going to go ahead and use the history brush now. At 19, that seems fine. Just kind of clean up this edge down here. There we go. So that region's a little bit more cleaned up now. Let's take a look out. That looks a lot better. So I think we're now, with this image, we are ready to do some more color work. So to start that out, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Selective Color. Give this a shot. Just play around with our reds, see what we get out of it. I really like the detail we've already got. I'm going to go ahead and leave the reds alone for now. Let's go in with your yellows. We have a lot of control, as you can see, in the yellows in this image, and that's going to be kind of interesting. The fun thing about color correction is there's always a gazillion ways you can take one image. There's no rights or wrongs when it comes to your color. It's all about the mood you want to present with the image. So you're going to see me play a little bit today. So right now I have my selective color in absolute, which is the stronger method of selective color. If you want a lighter tone of selective color, go ahead and use relative. I do like the idea of having a tiny bit of extra yellow in here, just for evening out the whites in the image. Add an extra bit of red. Maybe keep the magentas kind of out. And with our neutrals, there's a lot we can do with that. I'm kind of liking this warmer tone. It's not going to take very much to get it there. Let's go ahead and leave that at 2. And maybe a little bit of red. Yeah, just a tad bit of red. And our blacks. Kind of like the idea of having just a push of blue in there to soften the shadows a bit. So let's put about that much in there. Maybe just a tad bit of magenta to kind of even that blue out. That's looking rich. So far right now, everything we've done in the neutrals and a little bit of yellow work in selective color has done this to our image. So this is what it's looking right now, and that's what it looked like before. Like I said, there's no really right or wrong way to do your color. It's all about what you want to portray in your image. I'm going to call that good. We'll say OK for now with selective color. I'm going to go up to Adjustments and Hue and Saturation now. So in Hue and Saturation, you can adjust your master colors right here, which will affect everything in the image, or you can go ahead and pick from all of your hues. So let's try a little bit of red work. I can either shadow or moderate out. That kind of makes it look more antiqued or even a little dark. But I like having our reds in there. Not that much though. You can also mess with our yellows. You could completely remove your yellows, which is kind of a crazy look. Obviously, I was kind of going for that warm yellow look, so I'm going to go ahead and hang on to mine. Add just a tinge more saturation to it. Maybe I'll mess around with the hue a little. Nope, I'll leave it exactly where it was. I'm really happy with this tone right here. So let's go back to our master. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with where our image is. Maybe just 1 degree this way. A little bit more red. And just minus out 1 degree of saturation overall in the color. So again, our preview, it started this way. Now we are here. Not much of a change. You might not be able to see that, but you'll see it on your monitor if you play. So again, from the very start of this image, we started here, and now we are here. Quite a bit of change. I'm getting pretty happy with this image now. In fact, I think I'm liking our color in this image. One last thing I might play with just to see what it'll do is color balance, because you can add a little bit of brightness to your image while also adjusting your colors. And I'm going to go ahead and go to highlights. Here in highlights, maybe mess with our golds a little bit. That adds like a little bit of extra brightness to it. I'm not sure if I want that though. We'll see here. Maybe I'll add just a little bit, like right there. Almost unnoticeable. And so the only other thing I think I'm going to do with this image is a little bit of vignetting. To do that, I'm going to go over here to my burn tool, have that selected. Exposure 10, that's fine for now. Let's go to highlights. I'm going to burn a little bit of highlights out of here first. So now I'm going to use the bracket tools to make my tool a bit larger. Go ahead and just do a little bit of vignetting around my model here in the grasses. Just kind of make her a lot more center of attention. Move up to midtones now. And now I'm going to go to shadows. Let's take a look at that from start to finish. Do a little bit of burning on the face here just to add a little bit of that deep hair color back in. So now if we go to start to finish on the vignetting, that's looking a lot better to me, a lot more focused, not so bright and washed out everywhere. So I think that is it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon in more tutorials.